Norman Podhoretz is an American neoconservative pundit and writer for Commentary magazine. Early life: the son of Julius and Helen Podhoretz, Jewish immigrants from the Central European region of Galicia. Podhoretz was born and raised in Brownsville, Brooklyn. Podhoretz's family was leftist, with his elder sister joining a socialist youth movement. He attended boys' high school in the borough's Bedford-Stuyvesant neighborhood, ultimately graduating third in his class in 1946. His classmates included the prominent Assyriologist William W. Hello and advertising executive Carl Spielvogel. Admitted to Harvard University and New York University with partial tuition scholarships, Podhoretz ultimately elected to attend Columbia University after receiving a full Pulitzer Scholarship. In 1950, Podhoretz received his BA degree in English literature from Columbia, where he was mentored by Lionel Trilling. He concurrently earned a second bachelor's degree in Hebrew literature from the nearby Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Although Podhoretz never intended to enter the rabbinate, his father wanted to ensure that his son was nonetheless conversant in the intellectual tradition of his people as a non-observant New World Jew who treasured the Hebraic tradition. After being awarded the Kellett Fellowship and a Fulbright Scholarship, he later received a second BA in literature with first-class honors and an MA from Clare College, Cambridge, where he briefly pursued doctoral studies after rejecting a graduate fellowship from Harvard. He also served in the United States Army as a draftee assigned to U.S. Army Security Agency. Career: Podhoretz served as Commentary magazine's editor-in-chief from 1960 until his retirement in 1995. Podhoretz remains Commentary's editor-at-large. In 1963, he wrote the essay My Negro Problem: A Euro and Ours, in which he described the oppression he felt from African Americans as a child, and concluded by calling for a color-blind society, and advocated the wholesale merging of the two races, as the most desirable alternative for everyone concerned. From 1981 to 1987, Podhoretz was an advisor to the U.S. Information Agency. From 1995 to 2003, he was a senior fellow at the Hudson Institute. He was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by George W. Bush in 2004. The award recognized Podhoretz's intellectual contributions as editor-in-chief of Commentary magazine and as a senior fellow at the Hudson Institute. Podhoretz is married to author Midge Decter, and is the father of syndicated columnist and current Commentary editor-in-chief John Podhoretz. He is the stepfather of Ruthie Bloom Leibowitz and the late Rachel Abrams. Norman Podhoretz was one of the original signatories of the Statement of Principles of the Project for the New American Century, founded in 1997. That organization sent a letter to President Clinton in 1998 advocating the removal by force of Saddam Hussein in Iraq. Podhoretz received the Guardian of Zion Award from Bar-Ilan University on May 24, 2007. He served as a senior foreign policy advisor to Rudy Giuliani in his 2008 presidential campaign. The same year, he publicly advocated an American attack on Iran. Podhoretz's 2009 book Why Are Jews Liberals? Questions why American Jews for decades have been dependable Democrats, often supporting the party by margins of better than 2-1, even in years of Republican landslides. Political views. American history. Podhoretz has downplayed the importance of American history to his political beliefs. When Gore Vidal was writing his play On the March to the Sea, based on General William Tecumseh Sherman's March to the Sea during the U.S. Civil War, Podhoretz asked him, "Why are you writing a play about, of all things, the Civil War?" When Vidal explained that this was the great, single tragic event that gives resonance to our republic, Podhoretz replied, "To me, the Civil War is as remote and irrelevant as the War of the Roses." Iraq. In the lead-up to the 2003 U.S. invasion of Iraq, Podhoretz argued strongly for military intervention, claiming that Saddam Hussein posed a direct threat to the United States. After the 9/11 attack and more than a year before the start of the war in Iraq, Podhoretz wrote in February 2002 that there is no doubt that Saddam already possesses large stores of chemical and biological weapons, and may be on the precipice of nuclear power. Some urge that we concentrate on easier targets first. Others contend that the longer we wait, the more dangerous Saddam will grow. Yet whether or not Iraq becomes the second front in the war against terrorism, one thing is certain: there can be no victory in this war if it ends with Saddam Hussein still in power. Iran. In 2007, Podhoretz argued that the United States should attack Iranian nuclear facilities. According to the Sunday Times, Podhoretz believes that Iraq, Afghanistan and Iran are merely different fronts of the same long war. Podhoretz describes diplomatic efforts with Iran as similar to appeasement of Nazi Germany prior to World War II. He also contends that the war on terror is a war against Islamofascism, and constitutes World War IV, and advocates the bombing of Iran to preempt Iranian acquisition of nuclear weapons. His book on that subject, entitled World War IV, The Long Struggle Against Islamofascism, was published by Doubleday on September 11, 2007. In a more recent article, Podhoretz explicitly stated his view that Iran should be attacked. In short, the plain and brutal truth is that if Iran is to be prevented from developing a nuclear arsenal, there is no alternative to the actual use of military force. He then went on to consider the consequences of bombing Iran. Vietnam. In an editorial to the Wall Street Journal on the 6th anniversary of the September 11 attacks, Podhoretz contends that the retreat from Iraq should not be similar to the retreat from Vietnam. He argues that when the U.S. withdrew from Vietnam, it sacrificed its national honor. In 1982, James Fallows wrote a review of Podhoretz's book, Why We Were in Vietnam, for the New York Times, in which he accuses Podhoretz of changing his views and self-righteousness on the subject of Vietnam, noting that in 1971 Podhoretz wrote that he would prefer just such an American defeat to a Vietnamization of the war. A larger quote from Why We Were in Vietnam which was included in the review is as follows. Soviet Union. In the early 1980s, Podhoretz was extremely skeptical that fundamental reform was possible in the USSR, and sharply criticized those who argued that U.S. policy toward the Soviet Union should be one of dark copyright tent. In his 1980 book The Present Danger, Podhoretz predicted that the United States was in danger of losing the Cold War and falling behind the Soviet Union as a global power. Later he would express anger with President Ronald Reagan for not establishing sufficiently strong policies toward the Soviets. George W. Bush. Podhoretz has praised Bush, calling him a man who knows evil when he sees it and who has demonstrated an unfailingly courageous willingness to endure vilification and contumely in setting his face against it. He calls Bush the president who was battered more mercilessly and with less justification than any other in living memory. Sarah Palin. In a Wall Street Journal editorial titled In Defense of Sarah Palin, Podhoretz wrote, I hereby declare that I would rather be ruled by the Tea Party than by the Democratic Party, and I would rather have Sarah Palin sitting in the Oval Office than Barack Obama. Books, 1963, Hannah Arendt on Eichmann, A Study in the Perversity of Brilliance. New York, American Jewish Committee, 1964, Doings and Undoings. The 50s and After in American Writing. New York, Farrar, Straus, 1964, My Negro Problem and Ours. New York, American Jewish Committee, 1966, The Commentary Reader. 2 decades of articles and stories, New York, Athenaeum Editor. 1967, Making It New York, Random House ISBN 0-394-43449-8, 1967, Jewishness and the Younger Intellectuals. A symposium reprinted from Commentary, a journal of significant thought and opinion on Jewish affairs and contemporary issues. New York, American Jewish Committee, 1979, Breaking Ranks, A Political Memoir. New York, Harper and Row, 1980, The Present Danger, Do We Have the Will to Reverse the Decline of American Power? New York, Simon & Schuster, ISBN 0-671-41395-3, 1981, The New Defenders of Capitalism. Washington, D.C. Ethics and Public Policy Center, 1982, Why We Were in Vietnam. New York, Simon & Schuster, ISBN 0-671-44578-2, 1982, Congressional Policy, A Guide to American Foreign Policy and National Defense, Washington, D.C. National Center for Legislative Research, 1983, The Present and Future Danger, Thoughts on Soviet-American Foreign Policy, Washington, D.C. National Center for Legislative Research, 1984, State of World Jury Address, 1983, New York, 92nd Street Y, 1986, Terrorism, Reagan's Response, Coral Gables, Florida, North-South Center, University of Miami, Working Paper, Soviet and East European Studies Program, 1986, The Bloody Crossroads, Where Literature and Politics Meet, New York, Simon & Schuster, ISBN 0-671-61891-1, 1989, Israel, A Lamentation from the Future, de Ormiac, Quebec. Dawn Pub, Colorado, 1999, Ex-Friends, Falling Out with Allen Ginsberg, Lionel and Diana Trilling, Lillian Hellman, Hannah Arendt, and Norman Mailer, New York, Free Press, ISBN 1-893,554-17-1, 2000, My Love Affair with America, The Cautionary Tale of a Cheerful Conservative, New York, Free Press, ISBN 1-893,554-41-4, 2002, The Prophets, Who They Were, What They Are, New York, Free Press, ISBN 0-7432-1927-9, 2003, The Norman Podhoretz Reader, a selection of his writings from the 1950s through the 1990s, New York, Free Press, edited by Thomas L. Jeffers. Fallout by Paul Johnson, ISBN 0-7432-3661-0, 2005, The Bush Doctrine, What the President Said and What It Means, Washington, D.C. Heritage Foundation, 2007, World War IV, The Long Struggle Against Islamofascism, New York, Doubleday, ISBN 0-385-52221-5, 2009, Why Are Jews Liberals? New York, Doubleday, ISBN 0-385-52919-8. Further reading, Abrams, Nathan. Norman Podhoretz and Commentary Magazine, The Rise and Fall of the Neocons, Continuum, 2010. Balint, Benjamin. Running Commentary, the contentious magazine that transformed the Jewish left into the neoconservative right, Bloom, Alexander. Prodigal Sons, The New York Intellectuals and Their World, Oxford University Press, 1986. ISBN 978-0-19-505177-3, Jeffers, Thomas L. Norman Podhoretz, A Biography, 393 pages, Winchell, Mark Royden. Neoconservative Criticism, Norman Podhoretz, Kenneth S. Lynn, and Joseph Epstein, Twain Publishers, 1991. Twain's United States Authors Series. Primary sources Norman Podhoretz, New York, American Jewish Committee, Oral History Library, transcript of an interview conducted by Jill Levine, December 2, 1980 and January 8, July 22, 1981. See also, Conservatism Portal, Life Against Death. References. External links, Norman Podhoretz Archives at unz.org, Norman Podhoretz at the Internet Movie Database, Appearances on C-SPAN, Booknotes Interview with Podhoretz on Ex-Friends, March 28, 1999. In-depth interview with Podhoretz, January 7, 2001. Podhoretz N, World War IV, How It Started, What It Means, and Why We Have to Win, CommentaryMagazine.com, September 2004, Rago J., Unrepentant Neocon, Norman Podhoretz Stands Foursquare for the Bush Doctrine, Wall Street Journal, August 12, 2006. Podhoretz N., The Case for Bombing Iran, The Wall Street Journal, May 30, 2007. A film clip, The Open Mind, The Present Danger Soviet Imperialism, is available for free download at the Internet Archive, A film clip The Open Mind The Future Danger Totalitarianism is available for free download at the Internet Archive.